Technological supremacy might be fleeting these days, but the S-Class once again delivers the goods. Technological innovation has long been a hallmark of the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, and although the company has long said the S-Class previews technology that will be commonplace in 5 to 10 years, the notion has never been more true than it is with the 2021 Mercedes-Benz S580. It's a pitched battle these days. The democratization of computer technology, particularly in vehicles, has moved increasingly quickly. It used to be an S-Class would introduce one or two technologies, and the car industry would need the better part of a decade to filter them down. These days, other automakers are beating Mercedes-Benz to the punch, and the exclusivity any tech enjoys is much shorter-lived. In response, Mercedes has innovated numerous new technologies to keep the S-Class at the top of its game. Anything less than maximum effort would diminish the car severely, as the S-Class needs to continue setting the marque standards. Put simply, Mercedes can't afford to get it wrong. And once again, it hasn't. What's more impressive is that the 2021 Mercedes-Benz S580 is in many ways an evolution of the outgoing car. It's a daring move for such an important model, but the evolutionary enhancements are more than up to par, from the chassis to the powertrain to the infotainment system. Making life easy. Your awareness of them begins the moment you enter the car. The next generation MBUX infotainment system recognizes you via several available methods, be it a facial scan, voice print, fingerprint, or typed PIN, and it then applies all your vehicle presets. Working with the Mercedes Me app on your phone, it can access your contacts, calendar, and more all through the voice-activated digital assistant, and then integrate them into the infotainment system. The car has learned your routine, so it can suggest common destinations and regularly scheduled meetings you call into. If you don't have any meetings, the system will load your personal sound profile and provide the balance of high/low frequencies you prefer, along with the precise amount of bass-enhancing seat shaking you like. At $6,730, the Burmester high-end 4D surround sound system delivers on all 673,000 pennies. Seat shakers are hardly a new idea, but never have they been integrated so well into a vehicle. No matter the genre, it truly feels like being at a live concert, with deep, rich bass vibrating your core but without the hearing damage. The only way it can improve is with a shortcut to turn it on and off, as it gets annoying when you switch over to any kind of talk show. The lack of shortcuts is the one big miss on this new infotainment system. Switching between audio and navigation pages on the big screen, for example, requires backing out of the audio screen, swiping over to the navigation icon, and tapping it to bring up the map. There's no need for this to be a three-step process, especially when you're driving. Optional but worth it. Steps taken, destination entered, and entertainment selected, your eyes swing to the next big tech enhancement, the instruments. Where you look for them, though, matters. An extra $3,000 buys you the 3D technology package and nets you a head-up display with augmented reality capability and a 3D instrument cluster. The head-up display packs so much information into its massive projection, there's really no reason to ever look down at the actual instruments. The augmented reality navigation, though, is the real showstopper. Floating, animated arrows project onto the world in front of you, showing you exactly when and where to turn without ever taking your eyes off the road. You may want to look down, though, if only to enjoy the other half of the package. Admittedly, the 3D instrument cluster is a gimmick, but it's so cool you'll never complain. It really does look like you could reach into the screen. Just make sure you have your steering wheel adjusted correctly and don't hold the wheel at 12 o'clock, because the system gets mad at you if you block the eye tracking cameras. You can dismiss the notification immediately, but the little blinking dots indicating how you should adjust the will take forever to go away. Now that you're off and running, you begin to experience the technology infused into the drivetrain and chassis. The hybridized 4.0-liter twin-turbo V8 fires almost imperceptibly, and it turns off and on as it's needed. The electric motor is able to contribute 184 lb-ft of torque, and it's more than capable of getting the vehicle moving and taking over while cruising. Call on the entire assembly, and that same motor gives the V8 the buttery smooth yet relentless pull of a V12. Put to the test. In our instrumented testing, the new 2021 Mercedes-Benz S580 performed as well as or better than the last twin-turbo V12 Mercedes-AMG S65 we tested back in 2015. Thanks in part to its standard all-wheel drive, the S580 hit 60 miles per hour from a stop in 4.0 seconds, 0.2 seconds quicker than the old 12-cylinder car despite a deficit of 125 HP and 222 lb-ft. The old car's power advantage helps it edge out the new one at the quarter-mile mark, with both cars crossing the finish line in 12.5 seconds. While both feel like freight trains at this point, the V12 car is pulling a bit harder and traveling 3.1 miles per hour quicker. Both vehicles yield the same braking results, which says something for the non-AMG S580. They needed just 108 feet to stop from 60 miles per hour, truly impressive for their size and weight. Rather than stand on its nose, the S580 maintains its composure and settles down on its springs in a dignified manner. It's worth taking note of the weight, as well, because despite all the new technology inside the car, in the drivetrain, and in the suspension, the S580 weighs 114 pounds less than the S65. You feel the suspension tech as immediately as you do the power. Standard air springs manage impacts and body movements so well, it's difficult to justify waiting for the optional EABC hydraulic suspension coming next year. The 2021 Mercedes-Benz S580 out-of-the-box wafts over rough roads nearly as well as a Rolls-Royce does, but whip it into a corner, and the control is remarkable. There's an upper limit to how hard you can drive any car of this size down a tight, twisty road, and this car will reach that limit. Credit the optional, $1,300, rear axle steering for this nimbleness. Accessing sporty driving modes is done by pressing the drive mode buttons on the bar below the infotainment screen, which is counterintuitive, as it looks like it ought to be a slider just like the volume control on the same bar. There's no good reason why two controls that look the same, on the same surface, shouldn't function the same. The handling capability shows up in instrumented testing, too. The new S580 pulled 0.91 average lateral G on our skid pad, considerably less than the performance-tuned S65 but far better than a non-AMG S-Class used to. AMG modification and no doubt stickier tires helped the S65 put down a better lap time on our figure 8 course, but just barely. The new S580 was only 0.2 seconds behind with a 25.4 second lap at 0.74 G average, slightly lower than the AMG. Living the luxury life. All of this only really matters, of course, if you prefer to do all of your driving yourself. Switch on the advanced driver assistance systems, and the S580 will drive itself nearly as well on the highway as a Tesla does. Just don't bother sneaking your hands off the wheel, because a capacitive sensor embedded in the rim knows if your hands are in contact. Meanwhile, the same eye-tracking cameras that make the 3D instrument cluster work also watch you to make sure you're looking at the road and not at your phone. Whichever way you choose to reach your destination, you'll arrive as fresh as you began. Driving, even in some luxury cars and even when they help drive themselves, can still tire you out. Not this one. Even if you don't make use of the various massage and other revitalization programs, you won't find yourself any worse for wear thanks to comfortable seats, a cabin as quiet as a car twice the price, the wonderful suspension, and all those driving assists. Although the 2021 Mercedes-Benz S580 may not be the only car bringing futuristic technologies to market anymore, and although those technologies may have a shorter window of exclusivity, the S-Class still brings more of them than ever. In a world where it's increasingly difficult to define the luxury experience in an automobile, the S-Class proves the industry still has leaders, and it's one of them. Let us know your review of the 2021 Mercedes-Benz S580. Thank you for watching the video. Please click the button to subscribe to the channel and watch the next car review videos.